Hello, guys. Welcome to session 3, I think, on day 4. We're talking about sustainable-ish community action, and Sam's having a little bit of trouble getting on, but hopefully she's going to pop in and join us in just a little minute. But yeah, we'll just dive straight in with some intros. And one of the things I'm really pleased with this panel about is that we've got 3 really different takes on community action. So we're going to hear what everybody's doing. But I think that this is one of the things we just said in the green room, community action, as well as sustainability meaning something different to everybody, community action will mean something different to everybody as well. So really, hopefully you will find something from everybody about how you can either get involved in your own community, whether that's online or offline, and how you can, maybe do you want to start your own community up or get some more things happening in your community. So yeah, let's start with you, Amy. I'm just going to mute myself. I'm just trying to help Sam get on. So let's start with you. If you can introduce yourself, tell us what you do and where we can find you, that would be ace.
Great. So hello, everybody. My name's Amy Matthews, and I run the Lazy Environmentalists. I am on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. And we are, a community of over 60,000 people now on Facebook. So that's our main area.
Brilliant.
I think we've still lost Jen at the moment, so I'll dive in and introduce myself while we're waiting for her to come back. So I'm Tracy Church. I'm a freelance sustainability consultant, and I run an online shop called EcoBeagle where everything's plastic free and palm oil free. But what I'm talking about today is the Reading Climate Change Partnership, where I volunteer as co-chair.
Brilliant. Tracy, can you hear me okay?
Is that Sam?
Can you hear me, Amy? Amy can hear me. Tracy, can you hear me?
I've got lots of echo and you're very quiet.
Okay, your sound isn't that great. It's kind of underwatery. I don't know. Because you've got headphones on, haven't you? I don't know if that...
Yeah, I was fine until Sam joined and now it's gone weird.
No,
sorry, Sam.
It was funny before as well. And Sam has got a speaker.
Should I try without my headphones?
And you were the wrong way round. The beeping stopped, so that's good. Sam, I don't know if you can turn yourself round. I'm just going to mute you for a minute in case the noise is coming from you. Is it? Yes, I think it is. Sam, try closing all the other windows in your browser. That sometimes helps with sort of weird noises and things. And I don't know why you're sideways. You might have to end up like doing this.
Are we okay?
Sam, can you hear us? Oh, having some tech issues, aren't we? No, I don't think. My son says it might be because Sam was on Netflix. I don't think it is. I think it's more at Sam's end. Right, let's dive in with these questions while Sam's trying to battle with her tech. Oh, and I've done the wrong questions. So Amy, how did you get started with the Lazy Environmentalists? What made you want to form a community?
So my background is I did a human geography degree, and I studied geography since I was little in school. And I did a lot on climate change and a lot on the human impact that we have on the world. And I personally never took that big step into, or little steps into, an eco-friendly life. I felt I was in a state of laziness and ignorance of seeing the issues are so large that I couldn't put myself in the issue and I couldn't motivate myself to start my eco journey. So I actually spoke to some friends about it and said that I lose sleep about not making any changes, but I don't actually make those changes. And what do I do? And they were like, there's got to be so many other people out there that feel that way, that feel that maybe they're, even if you make one change, that minor impact won't make a big difference.
Definitely.
So I just thought, okay, push myself out my comfort zone, get on camera, share my feelings and my journey, and start making eco changes and record myself making those eco changes to make a commitment to me, and other people could see me do it, so I had to do it, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And yeah, now I've found over 60,000 people who also feel that way. and it's all about just encouraging and motivating each other. That's what I love about it.
So where is the lazy environment?
I think that's really important, this whole thing about encouraging and motivating people, because it's such a big challenge, climate change and environmental degradation, that you can very easily just get overwhelmed by how big it is and how little your impact feels. So I think being really positive and supportive about the little things that people can do that might be small individually, but when you put them together and when lots of other people are doing them too, collectively that actually does have a significant impact.
Yeah.
Right, Sam's back. Can you hear me, Sam? No, I'm not sure that Sam can still hear me. Oh, bless her. Amy, where did the name Lazy Environmentalist come from?
Sorry, say again?
Where did the name Lazy Environmentalist come from?
I'm trying to work out whether Sam's managed to join us.
So I don't know, actually. I like the fact that I say I'm lazy, because I don't do everything I can do, but I do the things that in the day that I feel I can do that day. So I think it's important to actually emphasize that you can be lazy and also environmentally friendly. So I think I want to try and make environmentalism as inclusive as you can. So anyone can make a difference. Anyone can make a change. Doesn't matter if you're lazy like me.
And it is something that really resonates.
The earlier sessions this week, I heard Jen mention the being perfect is the enemy of good, and I think there is this pressure to do everything all at once, and actually that's not what's needed. What we need is as many people as possible doing it imperfectly.
Definitely. Tracy, can you hear me okay?
Oh dear, I think we're still struggling with sound. Mike, hello. Yes, from Reading as well. Wonderful.
Tracy, can you hear me? I don't think Tracy can hear me.
Tracy, can you hear Jen?
I hear Jen. I can hear everyone else.
Yeah, she can.
She can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Tracy, tell us how you got started with what you're doing in Reading then. No, I'm not convinced you can.
I don't know. Because I can't see. Can you see Jen? Can you see Tracy's face? I can't see her camera now.
No, that's gone again now. God, we're having all kinds of tech issues with this one, aren't we? Tracy, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tracy? No? Okay.
No.
I'm going to get Tracy to log out and log back in again. Let's see if that works. So might just be you and me having a lovely chat, Amy. We'll see. One of the things I love about what you do is that you are so honest about, like, I'm just learning. This is where I am. I've got no real clue about whether this is best or that is best. And I think, again, that's something that people really relate to, because it's really difficult sometimes if you're starting your journey, you're relating yourself to all these people who are kind of all the way over here, and you're like, but I'm just here, and that sort of honesty and things is really refreshing.
Thank you.
What have you found the easy or the best thing about building this community? What's been the best thing for you?
I mean, my favourite thing is seeing the impact the community making have on each other. So
your sound's going funny now. Why is that?
I don't know.
It's all a bit echoey. Have you got any other windows open? Try turning them off. We're having a nightmare on this one, guys, aren't we? Have you got any earphones you can pop in? That might help.
No.
Okay. God, I don't know why all the tech is being so rubbish.
Do you want me to log out and put that in as well?
Shall we try that? And I'll just talk for a minute and see.
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, Sam's got a little person in the background. Let's turn that video off. Getting changed.
There we go. Yeah, I'm back in.
Right, let's just. We need to reboot the whole thing. What's going on? Thank you for your patience, guys. This is the first kind of real difficult tech session that we've had. Sam, hello. Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me, Sam? No. God, this is a nightmare. My tech capabilities are so limited anyway. Let's just turn that off a minute, because I think Sam's getting help from her husband. Sophie says, oh, thank you, Sophie. Don't worry, these things happen. Let's see if we can get one guest up on stream so we can have a chat. If not, it'll just be me talking, and you're probably all bored to tears of me talking by now. Martin just said I am. How's that, Amy? Is that better?
I hope so.
Yay, it is. It's better. Brilliant. Right. We'll carry on having a chat while everyone else tries to get back on. What's been the best thing for you about starting at this community?
The best thing for me is just seeing the growth and seeing the relationships the community actually have and build with each other. So a lot of what we do, what I try and facilitate on the page, is anyone asking a community advice request. So I post a question on behalf of a community member, and that question can get up to like 150 comments of just experience exchange, people, sharing their tips, having the same problem and what they did to solve that problem. And I just see an unreal amount of just trial and error tips, and it's just amazing. The amount of ideas and things you can get from other people, from a community, is so invaluable. It's almost like the page is like a Google search. You can type it in and you just get a response, no matter what the question is, in an environmentalist Google. So that's my favorite thing, and I love encouraging small changes and trying to make everything environmentalism inclusive to everybody. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. And that's my favorite part.
And do you think you've done more than you would have done without it?
Oh, 100%. Have I got funny again?
Yeah, I think we might just have to suck it up.
I can hear him.
Yeah, go on, let's just go for it and see.
What was the question again? I've forgotten now.
Do you think you've done more than you would have done without?
Yes. So one thing I love is when I see a tip or an idea that is actually really easily implementable, and I can make that quick change just from seeing other people's comments, I then make those differences in my life. So I wouldn't even have to think or search myself for an idea. So it's actually just made being more eco-friendly so much easier for me than just it would without the page. So definitely. And it makes me commit as well. And it's just seeing everybody else's positive impacts on other people. It's just so motivating and encouraging, having people to share things with. And it just makes you feel that there's other people out there who think like you and want to make a difference. And it's just a lovely space to have a community of like-minded people.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think sometimes it's really easy, isn't it, to feel like you're doing these things on your own, and that because especially if your friends and family aren't that on board, it is really easy to think it's just me, and therefore to think, well, what's the point, and I'm not making any difference. But actually, when you come together like this, and like you say, you've got 60,000 people following your page, you're like, wow, we are all really making a difference. Absolutely phenomenal. Sam, you're the right way up. Can you hear me? No, I'm not sure she can hear me. We're having a nightmare.
I think she's tapped to unmute. That's what I had to do.
You did what, darling?
I can't hear Jen.
She can't hear. She's got to tap the screen to unmute. That's what I had to do.
I am on unmute. Can you hear me, Amy?
I can hear Sam, yes.
I can hear you, but really quietly.
So I'm here, but I can't hear Jen at all.
Jen, if you want to hear the question, I can hear the question.
You might have to just be the middle person. I can't even see Jen.
Oh man, this is awful.
I'm really not tech savvy at all. So I apologise.
It's okay.
Amy, can you ask Sam if she can close all the other windows on her laptop,
Yeah.
And maybe try on a different browser as well. So try on Chrome if she's on Safari or vice versa.
Sam, Jen said, can you try and close every other window in the browser or try on a different browser, so Chrome or something else?
Amanda's
I
saying
can't hear you now. I can't hear her now.
Oh, sorry, iPhone. Oh, now she's back the other way again.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, Sue says maybe Sam's got a phone open as well, so maybe she needs to shut her phone.
No, but you can hear me.
Yeah, but you're still quite quiet. Now I'm echoing again.
Yeah, I think you start echoing when Sam's on. Oh, I don't know. Right. It might just be that you and I have to have a chat, Amy. But we can do this. What is the hardest thing about starting up a community, do you think?
The hardest thing, I suppose, is, well, for me, I put myself out there and I started recording myself and documenting my journey. And that was the hardest thing for me, the initial step into doing that. And I think that would be for everybody who starts to make a change. And if you're in a community, sharing your first question, or it's the hardest thing, starting something. So that was hard for me personally. But then managing a page, I suppose, is the difficult thing about trying to manage debates of people between different environmentalist opinions. So trying to manage healthy, good debates on a page. Fact checking is also difficult. There's so many different perceptions of things, and it's sometimes quite difficult to manage that side of things. But all in all, it's a pleasure. So
the benefits far outweigh the
and it's just like I said, it's like a knowledge hub of people the real people who have really tried and tested these things, and it's a safe space to share questions, and that's what communities are about, supporting and encouraging each other, and that's the best way. So just to be a part of it is better than anything.
Tracy, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Brilliant.
you.
Awesome. Right, let's just, I've got a bit of feedback going on somewhere. So Amy, I'm just going to mute you a second. Tracy, tell us about how you got started in Reading with what you're doing.
So I'm part of the Reading Climate Change Partnership, and actually it's been around since 2007, and it was originally part of the local strategic partnership. So it was set up as a multi-stakeholder group that would work on climate change in the town. We're all volunteers, but some of us represent organisations. And so it meant that when we had a declaration of a climate emergency last year in Reading, we already had a group of people who had been working on the agenda and were kind of ready to go. So that was a real advantage for us. So we're in the middle of public consultation on our climate emergency strategy and action plan for the town. But it's very much about communities and businesses working together to tackle climate change. It's not an official thing. The council's not going to deliver it. We are going to deliver it as a community of people who live, work and study there. And so we're actually quite a big group, but we're very locally focused, and we've got different people working on different agendas. So we've got 6 strategic themes, and each one has a task force. And then within each of those strategic themes, we have a series of actions which are going to have to be delivered by a coalition of the willing. So once the plan has been formally adopted by the town, the next challenge will be to assemble the groups of people who are actually going to deliver all of the actions. So it's a massive project, and its aim is zero carbon town by 2030. But it's broken down into some fairly manageable chunks, and we've already got the ball rolling on some of the actions.
And Mark put the question in the chat. What do we mean by community? And it's more than being online, and it is, and it's just it probably comes across like that because Amy was the only one I could chat to at the time, and she's the reason for having ideally if we can get Sam on as well. So Amy runs a really amazing, lovely online community. I wanted Tracy's input as part of formalising, declaring a climate emergency as a community, and how you then develop a climate action plan as a community. And Sam does amazing things with her group is called Eco Essex, and they're doing loads of local meetups and all these wonderful things. So we were having three three very different perspectives on it. But Tracy, really interested to hear from you. How do you go about, Amy and I both have experience of starting online communities, but when you're starting an in-person community, or how do you find those like-minded people within your local area to even start having these conversations with?
So I think it was relatively easy for me because I'd been working in sustainability for a long time. So I had quite a well-established network of people that I'd encountered through my business. So I've got a big network on LinkedIn, for example. Not all of which are local people, but there's quite a significant local focus. And what you can often do is kind of leapfrog from one person to another. So I would reach out to the people in my immediate network and ask them, do you know anyone who works in this area? And that would kind of bring people in. And then there are quite a lot of little groups, particularly on Facebook, just in our small town. There's a plastic-free group here and a True Foods Co-op over there, and so reaching out to each of those individual groups and then using them as a link to the next, I think, is a good way of bringing people to you. I mean, we do work online as well. I mean, it's a great way of sharing information quickly and easily. But we have had quite a lot of face-to-face events as well, and it is nice to be able to use that kind of cross-platform approach where not everything's done online. You do get to kind of meet people. Presumably, we'll be allowed to do that again Monday.
Yeah, Greg's put a comment in the chat that he's found trying to get local people involved in community projects is really challenging, and obviously prior to the current situation, lots of us are really struggling for time and that sort of thing. Have you got any sort of tips for how you make it feel less onerous for people, maybe, if you're trying to encourage them to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm working with people on my theme, which is resources, I make it really clear at the outset that we only ask of people the amount of time and effort that they can afford to put in, and people have lots of demands on their time. Everybody understands that. So trying to that's why we kind of took the task force group approach to. So you've got a whole bunch of kind of 15 people working on the theme. And then breaks it down into manageable chunks for people. And some people can spend more time than others, and everybody kind of understands that that's the case. And I think you have to try and make people feel really comfortable about putting their hand up and saying, actually, I'm in danger of being overwhelmed. I need to take a break, or can someone take this project off me, or whatever. So I think it just needs some kind of openness and trust and cooperation.
And are there any kind of in-person events or projects that you found seem more popular or resonate more easily? Like, I know I've run some repair cafes in our town, and I've run some swishes and things, and they're both things that people seem to get, and people will come to who wouldn't associate necessarily with coming to a sustainability event or something. But has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, I think you're right. And we've also kind of tried to kind of slip into other people's events. So when you find somebody who's running a repair cafe or a swishing event or whatever, I would be inclined to approach them on behalf of the Climate Change Partnership and say, do you mind if I just say something for 3 minutes at the beginning of your event to see if we can encourage any of your group to get involved with our group? We're not going to steal them. And the other thing that we try and do is kind of put an umbrella over everything that's going on in the town. So we don't try and do everything. But by knowing what's going on, we can signpost people. So if somebody says to us, I'm really interested in a seed swap, we can point them to the seed swap group. And that's quite a useful service that then makes people start approaching us to say, what else do you know about that we might want to get interested in?
Yeah. Sam, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Right. Half an hour before it started already. And
introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sam. So I am co-founder of a Facebook group called Eco Essex. So obviously I'm based in Essex. Me and a friend started it up about 18 months ago, and it started off as we needed a place to talk as friends to talk about these issues. And then we expected it just to have a few of us on there, really, but it grew and it grew and it grew. And we've now got about 3,000 members in the main group. And then we decided to kind of
expand it and have like subgroups so we could help different niches of people. So we have like an eco-ethics education to bring teachers together that can share ideas, and then we've got like eco-ethics business group. So yeah, started off as a Facebook community, and I saw somebody's comment here about community, and I agree, community is more than just online.
Yeah.
And we realized that quite quickly, and then the next step we then took was to actually physically meet with people in a local church hall. And I'm not an expert. I tell people that it's an eco journey that we're all on, and I still feel of myself at reasonably the beginning stages of that. But I just thought, you know what, sod it, I'm just going to meet with people and have a chat, and let's see what our problems are, and let's see what we can do. And basically, you know, the more heads that come together, the better, you know, the more effective we're going to be. And I only had about 6-7 people turn up for the first one, and probably about 8 for the second one. By the third one, we had about 20 people. We had councillors, and we had people from different initiatives come, and it felt like something changed. It gained momentum. So we began to get physical community spirit together as well. And we've been lucky enough to get a free venue. There's a scheme going on near me, and I heard about it, and I was like, it's too good an opportunity to miss. It's in my hometown, and we've got this free venue for a few months. It comes with the free insurance, everything, and we've been running different workshops each week. So like eco cleaning, we had the RSPB come, we had composting talks done. So we're just trying to, a bit like what you were saying, sorry, I missed your name. We were talking about it's important to kind of like gate crash other people in a way, and I was using their skills. I'm not trying to do it all, but saying, well, do you want to come and do a talk? You know, let people learn about what you're doing. What's your business? What's so great about your business? Come and talk to us. So it's just a massive networking is what I feel like I do, and bring people together and share skills and share knowledge, and it's been great. I really enjoyed it.
And I think it's really interesting that both Tracy and Sam, you're now doing like in-person stuff, but there is, you know, that social media element is, you know, that I don't think it has to be one or the other, does it? I think that there's huge benefits to utilising the strengths of social media to communicate information easily, and I like, you know, what you said, Sam, about, you know, it started off as this very sort of online community, and then realising actually, you know, and I think there is a huge value in coming together in person and exploring that. And that's one of the things that I've sort of really struggled to do is you know, obviously we're having an online festival, and that's it's my comfort zone, and it's also dictated by current situations, but there really is that power in people coming together locally. How did you know, were you literally like in your Facebook group, does anyone want to meet for a coffee and we'll have a bit of a chat? Was it as easy as that?
So because me and my friend lived in southeast Essex, most of the people that joined the group initially were our friends and our friends of friends, so they were all local to us. So therefore it started off quite easy. And I think I can't even remember. I think I just thought, you know what, we're empowered. I felt like I had a responsibility to do more, because I knew that I could, and I knew that we could. So I think I just said who was to come to this meeting. And I kept it quite low key. You know, it wasn't anything formal. But then what's happened now is it's become harder to do that, because the group is now Essex wide. We can't meet with Essex. You know, then you kind of defeats job jet. Then you have to travel an hour to go to a meeting. So what we now do, and what we've tried to encourage people to do, is there's little subgroups. So like we try to feel ourselves as like the umbrella group of Essex, and then there's subgroups. So there's like Eco Colchester, which is the town, and then there's like, you know, Eco Southend. And then what we try to do is encourage other people to set up smaller groups in their community, because I very soon realised that community is vital, but I couldn't like kind of cover the whole community of Essex. So now what I'm trying to do is kind of work together really with those subgroups and the admins from those groups, and support each other and saying, right, you know, what can you do? We've done this in this area, you could do it in your area. And we're going to try and do a meetup with all the admins of the groups in Essex, because I feel like as a group of admins, we can be really powerful as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask each of you in turn to give some thoughts on this. And Amy, we touched on it a little bit. What do you think are the benefits of coming together as a community, whether that's online or offline or a combination of both? And Amy, we haven't heard from you for a while, so we'll go with you first.
Sorry, repeat the question, Jen. It went quiet.
What are the benefits, do you think, of coming together as a community, whether that's online, offline, both?
For me, I think from where I started, I lacked encouragement, I lacked inspiration, and I struggled to motivate myself, and I struggled to think that my actions would make a difference. So I think the best thing for me, offline and online, is just purely the getting to talk to someone, getting to commit with another person or with a group to your changes, and it just makes it feel more, you get to share those experiences and you get to celebrate those experiences together. So it feels more tackleable if you're together with people, and it's more fun. You know, you learn and you get to share the ups and downs with a community, online or offline. And I just think it's always better to do things together. So that's what I love.
It's kind of the same, isn't it? It's you know, if you're going to go to a gym class or you're going to try and get fit in front of Joe Wicks in front of the telly, like it's you know, it is easier if you've got someone who's going to wait for you at the end of your road to go for a run with you than to kind of just keep plodding along on your own. Tracy, how about you? What have you found some of the benefits of having that community around you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd agree with a lot of what Amy said, and it's this issue about feeling that you're kind of too small on your own to make a difference. If you're a group of other people who are all kind of working together towards this shared goal, you feel like you have more impact. But I think also because I'm working on a kind of across a whole town, one of the benefits of having that oversight is sometimes things work better if they're joined up. So, for example, if you're part of a group that's trying to encourage people to travel actively rather than by car, you know, just working on behaviour change isn't necessarily effective. If you can also work with businesses to encourage them to introduce cycle to work schemes or subsidise bus travel, then you're kind of tackling the problem from two directions, and that becomes more effective. So I think a series of interlocked groups is a really effective way of approaching this.
Yeah, and Sam, same question to you around the sort of benefits of you know, you started together online as a community and then very much come together offline as well. What have been the benefits?
I think there's lots of benefits. I think sometimes you feel quite alone when you're fighting the battles.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for me, you know, setting up the Essex with my friend, and then the friendships we've now built, I don't think we would have done probably 75% of what we've actually done if it wasn't for those other people doing it with us and supporting us, encouraging us, motivating us. Because if I was to do these things on my own and there was nobody backing me up, I would begin to think that I was being silly or stupid or overreacting or being a nuisance. So I think the motivation and the team spirit together, and also the friendships that I feel of people of like-minded people has been amazing, and I hope that they'll be friends for life. But also it's the empowerment. I think we have to realise, and I'm sure we all do, that on our own we can't always make a big difference, but if a group of you saying no, we're not going to accept that, or plugging away at our councillors, why aren't you looking at this, why aren't you doing this, if the more people that do that, the more impact we have. So community is vital, really.
I agree.
Possibly a question more for Tracy and Sam in terms of kind of on the ground stuff, but one of the things that I find quite daunting is thinking, well, I want more stuff to be happening in my town, but actually then I sort of think, oh, well, you know, do it. Ideally, that would be better if we did get the town council involved, and that would be better if there was a climate emergency declared, and that would be better if there was a climate action plan, and that would be better if we got these people involved and those people involved. And then I'm like, oh my God, and I do nothing. I could have just gone, do you know what? I'm going to do a bridge, which is a closed stop, or I'm going to do a repair cafe, and just sort of started there. Like, have you found that it sort of very quickly snowballs almost and gets too, like, almost too complicated?
Yeah, I know. I have.
You go first, yeah.
Yeah, I know I have. I am somebody that comes up with ideas in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And, you know, I have a whole journal, a list of ideas, and I want to do it all at the same time, which isn't possible. So I am learning that. I think one of the key things is to get people on board. So I actually kind of have a team of volunteers to help us now. So we've got, you know, other moderators on the Facebook group to help me manage that. And I've got volunteers that help me in person with the actual events. So yeah, and in the end, she realised that I was getting bogged down with it, and she's kind of taken over some of the organising of those events. Obviously, it's not happening at the moment, but when they were. So yeah, it can snowball, and you have to kind of choose the most important or the easiest first. You just can't do it all.
And just to pick up on that there, I think before with the tech issues, Greg was saying about, you know, he's finding it really difficult to get people to volunteer and to come forwards. And like, I'm really rubbish at asking for help. I'll just kind of like plunge on until I'm just this little worn out nub. So like, how have you found that? How have you found getting people to volunteer and to step up and to, you know, because it is a time commitment, isn't it?
Well, I just put a post out on my Facebook group several months ago saying, can anyone volunteer to help us? And we had about 20 people come forward to help. So I know there's people out there that definitely want to help, but the realities of life, everybody's busy. Not all those 20 people are able to proactively help, you know, regularly, which is absolutely fine. So it is hard. It is hard because everyone's doing it voluntarily. So you can't, you know, there's not much you can do about it. You're grateful for any help, really. But I think just ask for it. And I think sometimes people don't offer to help if they don't exactly know what you want help with. So I need some help. They're like, well, I don't want to volunteer because that could be a big commitment.
Yes, is that 30 hours a week, or is that?
So I think sometimes it has helped me to say I need help with writing up this resource. So we do like little resources, like recommendations for kids' eco books or something. So we write up a list. So sometimes I've just put out there specifically, can somebody update the list?
Yeah.
And then people go, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. That's only half an hour. So I think that's useful to ask specifically what you want to help
That's
with.
a really brilliant tip, to be as specific as you can about what you want, because then people can make a really informed decision. Have I got time to do that, or have I not, or have I got the skills? Tracy, how about you? Have you found, because it sounds like from within your group, it's, you know, there are councillors involved, there are businesses involved, there are how is managing all that, because that's the sort of thing I would find quite overwhelming.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we had the advantage that we started as a group. So you know, if you start as one person and it grows, that can be very difficult to manage. But I think we had the advantage of being set up as a group initially with this specific aim of managing the carbon footprint of the town. And then that meant that we were immediately able to kind of carve the task up into the people responsible for certain things. As you obviously, as the plan grows, that the amount of workload does increase. So far, we've managed to bring people to us in sufficient volume to keep that going. I think one of the things that I've learned with the theme I was running is it just grab the opportunity when somebody has a brilliant idea and they're prepared to own it, and just, you know, set them off and let them go. Don't try and keep control of everything. I think as long as there's a kind of overarching set of principles that we're all kind of working in the same direction, people need the freedom to be able to go off and execute a thing, because that's a lot more efficient. So you have to be prepared to relinquish control to that extent, I think.
Amy, would you ever think about doing anything in person with your community?
So I'd love to. And this chat has made me think of a litter pick I did with the community, but we didn't come together because we are all obviously so geographically dispersed. We're all everywhere, Scotland, everywhere. And I decided for Earth Day last year to just do a community litter pick, and everybody went away in their own time when they wanted to do it and just shared the images. And then I put a video compilation of all of our our litter picks together. So you don't actually have to get together. You can just share the idea online and then go away and do it in your own time. So there is no pressure. And share that celebration of impact of what you did as a community, send in images and send in pictures. So that's what we did as in an online thing.
But that made me go all squishy. That's so lovely.
It was really good, and I'd love to do more offline. I was planning to do a clothes swap and event. I'm usually actually just with my friends more than anything, and post that on the page to show that you can do it. And how to sort of start it as me not doing it before. But I'd love to get together as a community in the future. I just need to commit more time to the Days Environmentalists as I work 9 to 5 and other things. But I'd love to my plan is to eventually come away from my work and do it full time. So hopefully in the future we will.
Yeah, and I mean that idea of a virtual litter pick, or like we're going to have a virtual mend along later on or this evening and things. So we're all finding ways to bring lots of things online specifically at the moment. But I really love that idea. That's amazing. And I'm wondering how else we can sort of as a community come together. Whether it's virtually or whether it's in person. But I love what you said as well about you wanted to do a closed talk with your friends. That's not just you and your friends coming together. You'll be able to then use that experience to say to people, oh, this is what we did. So if you want to copy exactly what we did, this is how it worked, or these are the bits that didn't work, or these are some of the suggestions that we've got, and encourage other people to be able to do exactly the same with their friends and in their communities. So that's hugely powerful as well.
I'll say something there about
go for it.
One of the things we've been doing as well is during lockdown, I've been trying to set challenges as well. So on Monday I'll set a challenge. Like what you were saying, Amy, like it can be virtually done and then you share the photos. I haven't had a lot of success with this. I think the joys of Facebook and algorithms and whether it wants to share it with people on is frustrating. But it's a bad time. 9 o'clock on a Monday doesn't appear to get much interaction. I don't know why. Homeschooling and that, but we try and set challenges, like this week, make a bug hotel, or this week I know what we did now, make an eco book or whatever. And that was my plan, to get people to kind of upload those photos. And then also I've been doing a book reading each week, like a read an eco book.
That's nice.
Again, I haven't got a lot of engagement from that, unfortunately, but I keep going. keep trying.
Yeah, it can be really frustrating, can't it, when you do something either online or off, and you're like, this is such an amazing idea, and then it's just like, and I think a lot of it is to do with algorithms and with, because there's so many people will then come to me and go, I had no idea you were doing that, and you're like, how did you not know? I've done nothing but shout about it. But it can be really, really difficult, can't it? What are your top tips, I guess? Let's go around and just share a couple of top tips each for bringing our communities together in whatever way that is, whether it's online or offline. Tracy, do you want to go first?
I think one of the key things I've learned is try not to reinvent any wheels. So there are brilliant resources out there for helping to tackle specific problems like food waste or plastic pollution. So if you're interested in a particular topic, see what tools and resources you can find to help you set up your group. Because things like plastic-free communities, eco schools, etc. There are toolkits already there that you can use, which massively reduces the workload associated with getting something off the ground. And then also, I think it's a really good idea to just that no one else is working on the same agenda locally, because I uncovered quite a lot of silos in Reading when I first started working on the climate change partnership, and by bringing those groups together you can avoid duplication and you can also increase your reach and impact. And so you might find someone's already working on the thing that you're really passionate about, so maybe you join forces and work on it together.
That's great advice. Sam, how about you, some top tips for getting started and getting people involved?
I think I've got 2 tips, really. The first one is not to worry about, do I know enough, who's going to listen to me? Just to do it. And whether that's just like Amy was saying, just do a close shot with your friends, it can escalate, and the ripple effect is your friends will then tell their friends.
That's it.
you can have such an impact by starting small. I mean, all of our groups would have started off small and they've expanded. So I would say whether you want to do something online or offline, just meet in a church hall. I don't know, invite a cloth nappy library to your toddler group or whatever it is. Don't stress about whether you know enough, because you will learn and you'll just learn together. So first tip is definitely just start something, regardless. If you want to do it, just do something. And the other one is actually, I found it really crucial to get on board with working with councillors. So I know nothing about politics, I really don't. And
local politics seem a whole nother smoke and mirrors thing.
You know, parish councils, county councils, and however, I'm learning, and I think it has been really useful to work together with our councillors, because I think as residents, it's very easy to think it's us versus them. But actually, when you speak to them and you realise that they're normal people with hearts, they're just doing what they have to do, or what is within their remit. You begin to realise that actually you can work together, and we've now been invited onto the my local parish council's climate action group party or something, whatever it's called. So we've been invited to that because the councillors want to work with us. So I think that has been really useful.
Brilliant, amazing. Amy, how about you?
Sam literally took the words out of my mouth. I kind of echo her points a lot, but I think the main thing for me is finding like-minded people. Don't tackle something by yourself. So even if you have one other person, you just feel that more secure and that more able to go out and speak to people or start something online. And it's just nice to have a person to share the challenges with. And also, I love the fact of, Jen, your book has checklists in. Just start small, start doing things that you feel you're able to do and able to change on a daily or weekly basis, and don't pressure yourself too much. And just the little things will make a difference, and like-minded people will really help you get a feel for other people's opinions, and it will just help. That's my advice.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, you know, go with what feels easy to you and go with what your passion is. You know, like I just said, you know, hands up, my comfort area is online and doing that. So, you know, that doesn't mean that because I'm not doing stuff in person that's wrong. Or, you know, if your passion is you know, mending, then, you know, start a little mending circle. If your passion is clothes, then, you know, have a think about a swish, or, you know, so go with where your energy is, and your energy flows more easily, and don't worry about doing everything and having to include every single area of sustainability, because there's so much of it, you know, and just in doing that, you will probably then bump into people from other groups doing other things, and that's how you can then kind of come together. I had a last question for you. Oh yeah, then we've got some questions in the box. What are good ways to kind of find out what's going on locally? Because sometimes there can be, I'm really guilty of going, there's nothing happening in Warminster, and actually there's loads of stuff happening in Warminster. It's just not in my face. And Tracy, you said that, you know, when you started, you suddenly found all these other little silos. Are there any good ways that we can find out what's already going on and connect? Because we might not all of us want to start our own community, we just want to join in with an existing one. So online and off, how can we sort of find out what's going on? Amy, I'm going to let you go first this time because you had the horrible job of going last time.
I obviously am all on Facebook and Instagram, so I'd recommend online just doing a search locally, or just like environmentalism doesn't have to be a local group. It can be like, my group is, you know, 6,000 people, so they're all over the country. Your group, Jen, I'm sure there's all over the country, and yours, Sam. So I think if you just join a bigger group, I'm sure you'll be able to find things within that, and just supporting other eco businesses like close to your vicinity. So doing going to zero waste shops if it's near you. You get to speak to people then, and you find out so much more if you sort of put yourself out there. Just go give a visit a zero waste shop. So on the boards of supermarkets, there's lots of things you can find things. Community board, you know, it might not be an eco group on there at the moment, but there could be one that would pop up. So yeah, that's areas I'd look.
Brilliant. Tracy, how about you?
Yeah, so I mean, those are great suggestions. Also, the library might very well have flyers and things from organisations who are working on environmental issues. And then if you maybe find your repair cafe, or your True Food Co-op, or your Whole Food shop, or whatever, and say even if they don't have a notice board, the people running them will be connected. Have a chat with them.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Sam, anything to add to all that? Sorry, it's horrible.
I just think networking and talking to people is so important. I mean, I didn't even know what Repair Cafe was until I spoke to somebody and they told me about it. And you learn so much about all the things that are going on in your local area from talking to people. So that is the bit of, like Amy said, go to a zero waste shop. They will probably know everything going on because they're very sustainably focused. Chat, people ask, and social media these days is a great way to find out the answers to what's happening. So just ask and talk to people and network.
I've just popped a link there in the chat, guys. If people are like thinking, what is this Repair Cafe thing, and how do I find out if I've got one near me when things are back to normal, the Repair Cafe website is repaircafe.org, I think, and you can go on there, you can find out about repair cafes, you can have a look and see if there's one near you. A couple of things that I would add is our town council, I think, has a list of local groups on their website. That can be a really, really useful place to look. And the other thing that I was going to say was going to be amazing, and it's completely gone out of my head. So yeah, that's really helpful. Oh, that was it. Hooking in with existing things like brownies or Cubs or schools, or they may well then know of other organisations that, we had so and so come in and talk to us, and you might be interested in hooking up with them, or that kind of thing can be really helpful. Right, let's have a look at these questions that we've got. Mike says, can he put a plug in for Friends of the Earth, like local climate action groups? Absolutely, of course you can. Started off as a local group affiliated to Friends of the Earth. We have access to Slack forums, which are a bit like a non-Facebook Facebook training, and access to financial support. So that's really helpful to know. And I think, am I right in saying Friends of the Earth are sort of doing a big push to get sort of local sustainable groups going within local towns and things? This is a really good question. What topic or activity has created the most engagement online or in person? Who should we go to? Amy, what always generates the most conversation? Either some of them are obviously like in my group, whenever anyone comes in and starts talking about anything meat or vegan, we always have a big.
I was going to say that.
Which is not necessarily a good thing, but is there anything that always gets people going, oh, that's amazing?
It's more topics. Is strangely women's how to with periods and stuff.
Menstrual products.
Menstrual products. That's always a massive conversation, and people are so interested in other people's experiences and what they recommend. I think maybe a Google search, people get shy or to talk about it. So, that's really a big topic on my page. You have to give me a minute. I can't think. I've got.
Sorry, that was all sprung on everyone. Sam, have you found any events more popular to generate more engagement?
Yeah, so I agree with Amy. We'd run a sustainable sanitary wear workshop in person, and that was really popular. And then we did an eco cleaning, so we brought somebody in who has that as their business, and that was rammed. The room was rammed full. We had one situation where I thought it was a good idea to run a session with the councillors and the local community about infrastructure and transport and road traffic, and it wasn't quite a good idea because we live by an airport that is expanding, and we live right by an area where they're going to build another 600 houses. So there was a lot of very passionate people there, and that was a challenge. That is very passionate when it comes to airports and housing. Yes.
So it's a tricky line. You want engagement, but you don't want to have everyone fighting. It's that tricky line.
And what had happened is I wasn't really used to having to chair meetings like that. So it was the first one. I thought, I'm going to do a residents meeting. I have no idea what to do, but sod it, I'll just do it. And it was like, oh, okay, I've got to chair this, and this is really tricky. But anyway, we did come. There was positive outcomes from it, so it was useful.
Oh, brilliant. Tracy, which of your events have generated lots of engagement?
It's really difficult to say because themed events, and they tend to be kind of fairly well supported by the people with an interest in that theme. Transport is one of the ones that really creates quite a lot of dialogue, because people are quite opinionated about, you know, wanting cleaner, greener, more sustainable transport. But then it's that tension between, you know, wanting the sustainable outcome but not wanting to pick up your car. And so there's always a lot of animated discussion on the transport agenda.
Yeah. Some questions. Sue wants to know how you sorted your IT issue, Sam. Did you went on Chrome instead, did you?
So I use Ecosia because that's an eco, like, thingy. So I don't have Google Chrome, so I had to download it, which is
great. And you can, there is a Ecosia extension for Chrome. If you
I don't know any of this, so yeah.
Liz asks, do any of you interact with your local Freegal groups, especially for advertising your events and activities, and also transition groups? I guess that's more for Tracy and Sam, who are doing in-person stuff. Sam, do you use do you have a local Freegal group? And
so we actually, at the second group we actually started was the eco-ethic recycling community, which is technically not recycling, it's repurposing. And we tend to I use that, but I encourage any free sites like this. But I wanted to come up with a group that was about repurposing stuff that you couldn't send anywhere else. You know, stuff you can't go to a charity shop, you can't sell it. And like it started off with like broken crockery, scraps of carpet, jars, you know, and we use that quite a lot. But yeah, I mean, I encourage people to use anything, whatever works. Definitely I always ask people to give stuff away. And I actually encourage people to ask for things as well. Take, you know, yes, take things from people that you need, but also give. So yeah, I do it all the time. Probably most days I'm on there. Has anybody got such and such?
Yeah. And I think you can use, you know, Freegal as an existing platform with all these local groups that it has all over the country. I would need to double check, but I think you can advertise your sort of eco-friendly events on there. They will put that out to their. Have you done that before, Tracy?
Yes, I've used their events listings, and yes, transition towns are very useful. Local Friends of the Earth group we're also involved with, that was mentioned earlier. So Extinction Rebellion as well. I mean, I've been working with the local group of Extinction Rebellion to promote the climate emergency consultation, because, you know, they're very interested in engaged group and their opinions count.
Yeah. I've got one question, and then there's a really lovely question in the box that will be a perfect one to end on. How do we? One of the things I found, there is a local sustainable group in Warminster. I think it was Mike who asked in the comments, like, you know, how his group is sort of 45 to 70-year-olds. How do we make it appealing to younger people? And in a similar way, I found that, you know, the sustainable group in Warminster finds it very difficult to reach outside of that group. Everyone who comes to their, you know, there's a sort of core of about 20 or 30, and they're the ones who support the events. They're the ones who come to everything. How do we make it feel like this is something for everyone? And yeah, you know, it's that how do we make it mainstream, I guess. Amy, you've done really well with that with your page. I think it feels really accessible, and you know, there's none of that kind of eco warrior crunchy greenness. Have you consciously done that, or is that something that's just
yes, I try to be really consistent with my message to ensure that people don't get scared off, or that if they're not, you know, just a vegan who never touches plastic, that they can't make a difference, they can't join a community and make their own changes. So I try and push the message that everybody can make a change, and everybody's welcome no matter what you do. So I think that's why I try and push the laziness, as in like the negative connotation to it, but I don't think it should. So that's why my name is The Lazy Environmentalist, because I think that's reality for all of us. We're so busy, so that's why I try and make sure that everyone feels that they are a part of our community.
And it's really difficult, certainly I find online, and I don't know what it's like in person, but you know, you're dealing with people or, you know, there's people sometimes the more vocal people are much further on in their journey. So the people who aren't that far on feel a bit sort of squashed, or like they'll say, oh, I did this today, and you get people going, no, you shouldn't have done it like that, you should have done it like this, and that's not the right way to do it. And then they're just like, whoa. So it's a really sort of hard balancing act sometimes as well. Sam, how have you've done really well with getting quite my impression is it's a sort of younger community of mums and families and things like that. How have you managed that?
So our group is predominantly 25 to 45, and that's just what the Facebook tells me when you look up the demographics. I mean, it started by me and another friend in our 30s. So obviously it's your friends and your friends as a friend. So that's why it started off that age range. But we really encourage all ages. The most difficult age group I'm struggling with are the young ones, like probably like teenagers. And obviously we haven't got many of them on the group at all. But I'm really keen to work with schools and colleges, and so I actually go into some of the schools and support them and talk to the teachers. That's why I set up the education Facebook group as well, because I felt like if we get the schools and the teachers on board, then we're going to be working on that younger generation as well. But actually, the other hardest group that I find strange, and I can't quite get my head around it, is the older generation. I'm really struggling with like the over 60s, over 70s, which I find strange, because I think of back in, the olden days where we didn't have so much stuff, we did have to look more things and repurpose and stuff. But I've got ideas, like I want to link with the WI and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of networking, a lot of talking to different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, isn't it? Because in our, the sustainable group in Warminster, I would have said that they were mostly sort of 60, 70 year olds, so it's funny now. Tracy, do you find that, because, remind me of the name of your group again, is it Climate Action or Climate?
It's the Reading Climate Change Partnership runs it, but it's the Reading Climate Action Network. So
do you find a little bit that language can almost put people off? Because, oh gosh, that sounds... we're talking, whereas if we're talking eco or we're talking lazy environmentalist, that feels a bit more, whereas like, the climate, that feels a bit full on.
I mean, colloquially we call ourselves Reading Can, because that's kind of short and snappy and active kind of. I think it is a challenge, and particularly that group kind of between, I would say 15, 25 is the difficult group to engage. And I think what we're realizing is that we're in the wrong social media for that group. And actually, we need to be on Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. How any of those work, who knows? But clearly, and the other thing that we're looking at is actually expanding our board, so that we have a young person represented on the board, which will then help us to understand more about how to engage with that demographic, and they can then advocate for their own.
They obviously are really engaged when we look at the school strikes and all that kind of thing. So it's a way of getting everybody to mesh together. Right, this lovely question that I wanted to end on comes from Kerry. What are you most proud of from the work that you're doing? Just curious, what gives you the warm fuzzies and encouragement to carry on? Amy, what gives you the warm fuzzies? What are you proudest of?
Just any message that I get, either privately or on the page, of someone saying, you've given me like the courage to just make a change, and I now feel that I can go forward and make more changes. And every message gives me the feeling of making someone feel that they can make a difference in themselves. That's what I'm proud of.
Brilliant. Tracy, how about you?
Yeah, I think absolutely the same. When you hear that either a person or an organisation has made a change as a result of something that you champion, that's just incredible. It's so rewarding.
Yeah. Sam, anything to...
I think when somebody tells you they've made a change, or when they upload photos, so you physically see what they've done, it's really nice. And when people say thank you for organising this event, and it's been really good, that's like, wow, it was worth the effort. And
Yeah, absolutely. I would echo that, and that's been the theme for this festival: is action, is change, is nothing changes without action. So actually, that's why I've wanted that pledge board up there, so we can physically see the pledges that people are making, the changes that people are making, seeing everything that people are doing in the group, and it spurs other people on as well to think, oh, actually, I can share my change as well, because that was really important. Guys, I hope you can forgive us for running over a bit because we had all those tech issues at the start. So Amy, I know you've got to dash off back to work, haven't you? You quickly want to tell us where we can find you online, and then if you need to disappear, you can run off.
Yes, of course. I just want to say thank you, Jen, for doing this festival. It's absolutely amazing, and it's just incredible. So thank you, and for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the panel. It's great. I'm the Lazy Environmentalist on Facebook mostly, and then on Instagram I have a little page as well.
Brilliant, thank you. Sam, where can we find you?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram, Eco Essex.
Eco, that's nice and easy, isn't it? I like that. And Tracy, how about you?
So probably only relevant to anyone who's from Reading, and I only know of one in the audience. It's readingcan.org.uk.
Brilliant. And if I'll share this replay in the pop-up group, so if people want to, if you guys want to come and pop your links on there. I also just want to give out a shout out to Hayley from Eco Eli, because really wanted her to come on the panel, but she's having some real sort of hard time with her family and things in the current situation. But if anyone's in or around Eli, do go and check out Eco Eli. Hayley's just a force of nature, a massive inspiration with what she's doing as well. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for all your amazing chat. There's loads of brilliant links in the chat as well. And thank you to our wonderful panelists for coming and sharing all your time and expertise. Thank you. It's been
Thank you. See you later, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.